Whenever we search for sources on running form improvement, we tend to find this mix of answers involving shoe brands, orthotics, confusing articles in running magazines that contradict each other, and the barefoot movement. Now, lately there's been more good information out there, but it's still so jumbled and it's hard to know who to listen to and who to ignore. Now, the reason these videos are a good source for you is because they are completely based on the structure and function of the human body, especially the foot, my own personal experience and what has worked for me, and what some of the top distance runners on the planet have done and taught for a long time. With that in mind, let's talk about the human foot. It has 26 bones, 33 joints, dozens of ligaments, and 19 muscles between the heel and the toe. Our feet are complex structures that are meant to have impressive movement capabilities and to withstand incredible load. In fact, a healthy foot can bear multiple times your body weight. When we walk, our feet bear 1 to 2 times our body weight. Running, our feet bear 2 to 4 times our body weight. And for someone like a gymnast, sometimes their feet are bearing up to 10 times their body weight. Now, we are taught to always have very specific form when we lift weights. Otherwise, we'll injure ourselves. The same applies to running. I'd argue that it's actually more important with running because of the repetitive nature of it. Okay, so what is the specific way to use our feet properly while running? Well, let me give you a brief bird's eye view of what it looks like, and this applies whether you're moving slow or fast. Your forefoot makes first contact with the ground. It receives your weight while being relatively underneath your body, knee slightly bent. Your heel may lightly kiss the ground just before you push off, and the other leg repeats the process. You may be thinking, okay, well, that is the complete opposite of what most major shoe brands market and what 90% of runners actually do. So am I saying that what is most common and accepted with running form is actually wrong, causes injury with full body negative effects, and is not in line with how our feet and bodies are designed? Yep, that is exactly what I am saying, and I'm going to show you why. Since heel striking is by far the most common form, we're going to analyze that first. When you heel strike, all of your downward force, which remember is 2 to 4 times your body weight, goes directly into your heel bone, the calcaneus. Now, if you have heel cushion, this is somewhat softened, but it really doesn't do anything to change the mechanics. From here, the force basically goes straight into the ankle, into the tibia, into the knee, then into the femur and the thigh. Now, this all happens before your forefoot contacts the ground to assist you. So the force has already gone from here straight up the bone column. Okay, but what about the 19 muscles on the underside of the foot? And what about the strong arch and the 33 joints and the dozens of ligaments, and not to mention the calves? This is all the most powerful shock-absorbing anatomy that we have in the entire lower leg. Well, you bypassed almost all of this by choosing to heel strike. So an impact of 2 to 4 times your body weight went straight into your bone column. It went right past your feet and calves and was only really absorbed by the ankle, the knee, the femur, and the quads. This is how 90% of people run these days. We aren't even using our built-in shock-absorbing body parts. No wonder we're developing problems like plantar fasciitis, shin splints, stress fractures, IT band issues, and knee problems so often. Now that you understand the mechanics of bad form, let's look at what happens when your form is proper. When your forefoot contacts the ground, this causes over a dozen muscles on the underside of your foot to contract. This helps absorb some of the impact and distribute it throughout the many bones and joints that make up your foot's arch. By the way, the arch is one of the strongest structures in engineering for distributing force, and we have one in each of our feet, so we should probably be using it. At the same time that your forefoot contacts the ground, your powerful calves contract, which helps absorb some of the force and greatly lessens the impact into the heel and into the knee. And since your knee is slightly bent, the quads are able to take up much of the remaining energy before it goes into the hip, pelvis, and finally into the spine. One more thing about the foot with all of its muscles, ligaments, its joints, the arch, not to mention the calves, they don't just absorb energy and impact. They also return some of it back into the ground as elastic energy, which acts like a spring to help propel you forward. You can see here very clearly that the proper form allows your muscles, ligaments, bones, and joints to absorb energy like they are supposed to. This allows for a healthy amount of impact that your body is designed to handle. Now that you have a firm understanding of how damaging heel striking is and how truly functional proper form is, you're prepared to see the value of the next video. I will be sharing 4 simple foundational exercises that are taught by Eric Orton that I have been using and benefiting from since 2020.